My greetings to everyone. I am Professor Namita Rajput, Professor in Department of Commerce, Sri Aurobindo College, University of Delhi. In the ongoing series of entrepreneurship and venture planning, today we have very interesting with us. That is, we will be going into depth the concept of modern entrepreneurship. Now today, entrepreneurs are the lifeblood of the business and the growth all over the world. They are valued for their contribution to the economy and society. They have innovative skills to compete with the companies around the world. The global economy, that is with the modern infrastructure and communication, has introduced a new age of competition to the world of entrepreneurship. The competition among the entrepreneurs is definitely not restricted within the same tribe, within the same town, within the same village and within the same city. There is a competition among the entrepreneurs all over the world, and they have access to the cheaper means of production, the better resources of cheap labor and other factors of production. So, this has made the modern entrepreneurship more challenging, rewarding than ever before. Modern entrepreneurs believe in the following. 1. Creative one owns fate, not stopping to learn, motivating oneself, trusting oneself, live in one's own value, giving something back. So, the modern entrepreneurship is characterized by a blend of innovation, resilience and a forward-thinking mindset. Entrepreneurs today are not only the creators of the economic opportunities, but also the pioneer who challenge the conventional norms to carve out their unique paths. So, we will be discussing now what constitutes the modern entrepreneurship. The first and the foremost point what we want to discuss here is creating one's own fate. The entrepreneurs take charge of the destiny by embracing the risk. They understand that taking the calculated risk is definitely essential for breaking new ground. Instead of waiting for the opportunities, they create them. So, this is one, that is, you have embraced the risk. Secondly, the innovative vision. They identify the gaps in the market and use the creative solutions to address them effectively, shaping the future rather than reacting to it. So, the self-determination is another vital point, and this principle reflects a committed to independence where the entrepreneurs believe that through the hard work and the strategic planning, they can overcome the obstacles and steer their business towards the success. The second and the most important as far as the modern entrepreneurship is concerned is not stopping to learn. The continuous learning is a cornerstone of entrepreneurial success. Adaptability. The business landscape is constantly evolving with the technological advancements and the market trends. Entrepreneurs stay ahead by embracing the lifelong learning. The skill enhancement. They invest in the personal development, acquiring the new skills and knowledge to remain competitive and innovative. Learning from the failures. Each setback is viewed as an opportunity to learn, refine the strategies and improve the future performance, making the resilience a key attribute. The next third most important concept which is entailed in the modern entrepreneurship is motivating one's own self. Yes, we are talking about the entrepreneurs who believe in motivating one's own self. Self-motivation is the driving force behind the entrepreneurial endeavors. The intrinsic drive and the goal orientation. The entrepreneurs possess a strong inner passion and determination that fuels their persistence even in the face of challenges. And the next is your goal orientation. They set the clear, ambitious goals and maintain the focus needed to achieve them without relying solely on the external validation. Then we have the positive mindset. Maintaining the optimism and enthusiasm helps them overcome the hurdles and continue pushing forward despite the uncertainties. The next is your trusting one's own self. Self-confidence and trust is one's abilities are very crucial. Like we have first in the trusting oneself is the decision making. The entrepreneurs rely on intuitive and expertise when making the strategic decisions, often in the high pressure situation. The next is your independence. By trusting themselves, they are less likely to be swayed away by the naysayers or the status quo, enabling them to pursue the innovative ideas. Then we have a concept of resilience. This self-assurance allows them to bounce back from the failures and view challenges as temporary setbacks rather than the unsurmountable obstacles. The next most important concept as per as the modern entrepreneurship and the value system in which they believe is living in one's own value system. Integrity and authenticity are the key. That is the ethical foundation and the purpose driven. The modern entrepreneurs build the business that reflect their personal values and the ethical standards, ensuring a long-term trust with the customers and the stakeholders. Then we have the purpose-driven. Their ventures are often aligned with the broader mission or the social impact, going beyond the profit to contribute positively to the society. Then we have the consistency. By living in accordance with their values, entrepreneurs create a consistent brand identity that resonates with both employees and the consumers. Next is your giving something back, a commitment to social responsibility and the community involvement. The corporate social responsibility, many modern entrepreneurs integrate the CSR into their business models, recognizing that success includes benefiting the community. Next we have is the mentorship and support. They often have the mentor emerging talents and support the local initiatives, fostering a culture of collaboration and the shared success. Then we have is the sustainable impact. By reinvesting the profits into the social causes, these entrepreneurs, they help drive the sustainable growth and addresses the larger societal challenges. So we can say as per as the modern concept of the modern entrepreneurship and their ideology and the thinking process is concerned, modern entrepreneurship is more than just a business. It's about adopting a mindset that values the innovation, continuous improvement and a deep commitment to both personal and the societal growth. By creating one's own fate and embracing the lifelong learning, staying motivated, trusting in one's capabilities, living by the strong values and giving back, the entrepreneurs not only build a successful ventures but also contribute to a dynamic, ever-evolving global economy. Now let's start with another topic, that is, what is the future of entrepreneurship? So let's dive into some historical context, that is talking about something early entrepreneurship. From the agricultural revolution onwards, entrepreneurship began with the simple act of meeting immediate needs. Early entrepreneurs provided the essential tools, shelter and services in exchange for food and the barter goals. For example, a craftsman who forged the tools for a farmer exemplified how addressing is the basic need led by the early economic exchanges. The transition to trade and banking. As the societies evolved, so did the models of exchange. So with the introduction of money and the establishment of banking system, the trade expanded and the entrepreneurs were now able to leverage the capital to innovate on a larger scale, developing the markets, fostering the imports and exports, facilitating the broader trade networks. So this period laid the foundation for the modern capitalism, where the drive for the profit began to intersect with the needs of a growing society. Then we have a concept of modern entrepreneurship, profit innovation and the social impact, balancing the profit with the social responsibility. Today, while profit remains a central motive, there is a growing recognition that the entrepreneurship must also foster the societal well-being. The modern entrepreneurs balance the self-interest with the commitment to avoid the harmful impacts on the society. For example, the companies like Patagonia and Tom's Shoes have built their business models that emphasize the ethical production and the social responsibility alongside the profitability. Innovation at the front cent. So, innovation continues to be the engine of entrepreneurial success. The modern tech startups like Apple, Google, Tesla, they have revolutionized the industries by solving the problems in the ways that were previously unimaginable. So, these companies not only cater to the consumer demands but also set some new standards in the technology, design and sustainability. So, there is a role of competition. The healthy competition ensures that the entrepreneurs do not overcharge for the goods or underplay the employers and ultimately benefiting the consumers and the workers alike. In a competitive market, the business are compelled to continuously improve their products and services, which can actually lead to advancements in the quality, efficiency and the consumer satisfaction. Now, we will be discussing about some future trends in the entrepreneurship. The technological disruptions and the digital transformation. The future will likely to be shaped by the rapid technological change and innovations such as the artificial intelligence, blockchain and Internet of Things are already transforming how the business operate. For example, the AI powered platforms are not only improving the customer service but are also enabling the startups to offer the highly personalized products and the services. The rise of the gig and the remote economy. The job market is evolving with the changes in the intellectual capital, and as more people seek flexibility, working arrangements, the companies are shifting towards the result-oriented roles rather than the traditional employment models. Freelance platforms like Upwork, gig economy, companies like Uber illustrate this trend where the performance and the entrepreneurial spirit became the key drivers of the success. Then we have the concept of intrapreneurship and the employee innovation. Now, within established organization, there is a growing emphasis on intrapreneurship, encouraging the employees to adopt an entrepreneurial mindset. The companies are investing in the internal innovation labs and offering the profit sharing models to nurture the creative problem solving amongst their workforce. So, this not only drives the business growth but also ensures that the employees remain engaged and forward thinking. Adapting the business models to a changing world. Now, we are talking about the future of the entrepreneurship, and adapting to the new business model to a changing world is a very important point. Now, as the marketplace becomes increasingly complex, the traditional business forms might give way to more fluid and adaptable models. For example, the subscription services, on-demand platforms and the decentralized organizations like those which are leveraging the blockchain for the governance represents the new form of the value exchange. So, these models, they respond to the needs of the digital savvy mobile workforce and the consumer base. For example, illustrating the future of entrepreneurship, the tech startups. The companies like Tesla have redefined the industries by integrating the cutting edge technology with the sustainable practices. Its approach to the electric vehicles and the renewable energy solutions is a prime example of how modern entrepreneurship can address the global challenges while remaining profitable. The social enterprises, the organizations like Warby Parker and Tom's Shoes have built the business models that integrate the social responsibility with the market success. Their buy one, give one models or the community driven initiatives show that the profit can be aligned with the societal development. The digital platforms, The success of the platforms like Airbnb and the Uber underscores how the digital transformation can disrupt the traditional industries. Now, these companies have leveraged the technology to meet the evolving consumer demands, demonstrating the agility and innovative spirit that will continue to refine the entrepreneurship. Then we have the intrapreneurial ventures. Many large corporations are now fostering the internal startups. For instance, the companies in the Silicon Valley often have dedicated innovation labs where the employees work on the projects that are eventually spin off as a separate venture. This approach not only fuels the innovation but also keeps the traditional companies competitive in a rapidly changing market. So, we can say that the future of entrepreneurship is one of the continuous transformation and will likely to be characterized by innovation driven by the advanced technologies that disrupt the traditional business practices. A balanced approach where the profit is achieved alongside the societal developments and the flexibility and adaptive business models that cater to the changing job market and the consumer expectations. Then we have a culture of intrapreneurship, where the entrepreneurial skills are cultivated within the organization to drive the internal innovation. And of course, as the market evolves and the technological advancements accelerate, the entrepreneurs will remain essential drivers of the economic growth and the social progress. Their ability to adapt to the new challenges and seize the emerging opportunities will actually continue to shape not only the business landscape but also the fabric of society itself. The entrepreneurship is the process of identifying, developing and bringing of a vision to the life through the creation of a business. Various theories have been formulated by the scholars to explain the phenomena of entrepreneurship. Now, these theories fall into multidisciplinary categories including the economic psychology, sociology, anthropology and the managerial perspective. Now, coming on to the theories of entrepreneurship. While a number of theories exist, in practice, they largely fall into the following categories. The first and the foremost we are talking about is the economic entrepreneurship theory. Then we have a resource-based entrepreneurship theory, psychological entrepreneurship theory, sociological entrepreneurship theory, anthropological entrepreneurship theory, opportunity-based entrepreneurial theory and entrepreneurship innovation theory. Let's take the first one, that is economic entrepreneurship theory. Economic entrepreneurship theories emphasize the role of economic conditions in influencing the entrepreneurial activity. These theories suggest that the entrepreneurship flourishes in the environment where economic incentives like tax policies, then availability of capital, the market opportunities are favorable. And of course, the origins of economic entrepreneurship theory can be traced back to the early works of Richard Cantillon 1700, who described the entrepreneurs as a risk takers engaged in arbitrage, balancing supply and demand by buying at the lower prices and selling at a higher prices. The economic conditions that influence the entrepreneurship include first, the taxation policies, industrial policies, availability of finance and the raw material and the infrastructure availability. So, when you talk about the taxation policies, it affects both the profit margins and the investment decisions. Industrial policies also shape the regulatory framework of the business, availability of finance and the raw material which determine the ease of the business establishment. The infrastructure availability including the transport and communication which facilitate the market access. Investment and marketing opportunities that influence the feasibility of starting and establishing the enterprises. The access to information on the market conditions or on the technology that helps the entrepreneurs in the decision making. The economic entrepreneurship is primarily explained through the three school of thoughts: the classical theory of economics, the neoclassical theory of economics, Australian market process, and let's explain the first one, that is the classical theory of economics. The classical theory emerged during the Industrial Revolution in Britain, that is mid-70s, and is associated with the economists like Adam Smith, David Ricardo, and John Stuart. It is based on the principles of free trade, specialization, and competition. And we have the entrepreneur's role. The entrepreneur play a directing role in the production and the distribution. Then we have the competitive markets. The goods and the services are produced and exchanged in a competitive environment. The factors of production. The entrepreneurship relies on three essential inputs, that is the land, natural resources, labor, the human effort, the capital, that is the financial and the physical assets. The classical theory, as we are moving on with, it suggests that the economic growth occurs when the business operate under the free market principles without the significant government intervention. Then there are certain limitations what we see here, that is the static perspective. It does not account for the evolving nature of the market and the entrepreneurship. It ignores the innovation, focuses on the competition but does not emphasize the role of technological innovation. Assumptions of equilibrium. It assumes that the market function in a state of equilibrium which does not align with the real world business dynamics. The second is your neoclassical theory of economics. The neoclassical theory evolved in the late 19th and the early 20th century as an extension of the classical economic thought. It was well developed by the economists like Alfred Marshall, Neo Walras, and Karl Menger. Now let us discuss some key features of the neoclassical theory of economics. It focuses on the market efficiency and the role of the government in maintaining the economic balance. Entrepreneurs are viewed as the economic men which maximize the utility while operating within the income constraints. The role of the government is emphasized in fostering the economic entrepreneurship through the policies like progressive taxation and economic regulations. Then of course, we assume that the entrepreneurship is an economic system which comprises of the entrepreneurs who seek the economic survival and the growth, the social constitution which grants the entrepreneurs the right to free enterprises, the government which creates the institution to protect and promote the entrepreneurship. Now let us move on to the limitations of the neoclassical theory. It ignores the individual uniqueness. It assumes that all entrepreneurs behave rationally without considering their unique abilities, motivations by the personal risk-taking tendencies. And then we have a lack of the focus on innovation. It does not account for the future value of the innovative ideas. The rigid resource allocation is another limitation. Even well allocated resources may not perform efficiently in unpredictable market conditions. Then it assumes the perfect competition. It assumes a competitive market exists which limits the scope for the innovation and the new business models. Now let us move on to the third theory of entrepreneurship, that is Australian market process. The Australian market process was developed as a response to the limitation of the neoclassical theory. This model is strongly influenced by Joseph Schumpeter way back in 1934 and the Australian School of Economics, which includes the Friedrich Hayek and Ludwig von Mises. So let us discuss some new features. Entrepreneurship is the driving force for the market economies, and the market dynamics are constantly evolving and do not follow the predictable patterns. Innovation and the knowledge dissemination are very crucial for the economic progress, and the entrepreneurship thrives on the disequilibrium, not the perfect competition, and the entrepreneurs perform these three functions, out of which the first, as we discuss, is to communicate knowledge. They provide a crucial market information through the price signals. It promotes innovation. They actually introduce the new products, services and the process that drive the economic changes. And the third is to satisfy the market needs. They address the unmet consumer demands leading to the emergence of the new industries. Now, the Australian market theory rejects the idea that the economic conditions are repeatable. Instead, it emphasizes the unique knowledge and insights of the entrepreneurs possess, which enable them to identify and capitalize on the new opportunities. And there are some key concepts of this theory. Out of the first is your arbitrage market. The entrepreneurs exploit the price differences in the different markets to create the business opportunities, and the first mover advantage, that is the entrepreneur who recognize an opportunity early, gain a competitive edge. The entrepreneurship versus the ownership. The entrepreneurs do not necessarily own the resources but create a value through the risk taking. Now, there are some limitations. Out of the first is the market cooperation. The theory assumes that the market are purely competitive, but the cooperation among the firms can also drive the entrepreneurship, the resource monopolies, the entrepreneurial activity beyond the markets, and the role of the government and the regulations, that is the taxes, subsidies and the government. So, we can say that the interventions also shape the market activities, contracting the Australian school laissez-faire stance. Thank you very much.